Right, so I want to make a video updating everyone as usual and getting some other important stuff. Lots of big stuff to talk about as always. So getting right into it, Canada's up to 84,112 confirmed cases, 6,380 dead. Alberta is down to 801 active cases from, I believe, 830 yesterday. Down to 46 in the hospital. Still 7 people north of Calgary. Again, 7 people. Population around 3 million, maybe a little over. Probably around 3 million because Medicine Hat and Lethbridge are pretty big down south. But um, again, like north of Calgary, like I keep pointing out, but it's insane to think about. We have 7 people in the hospital and one in the ICU. Like in the whole province, we still have 6 people in the ICU. Like one hospital could easily deal with all the people that are in the hospital in Alberta, let alone I don't even know how many hospitals we have that are capable of housing patients. So, like I say, this is just a complete lie, and I pointed it out, but I want to point it out again. One of the reasons why people are starting to not take this seriously, like I say, you've seen yesterday or was it 2 days ago, the one park in Toronto that was packed, and you had all this uproar that people are selfish. Like to me, I don't care. What is the demographic of people that are going to go to the park on a hot day? Is it people in their 80s? No, it's people that are young, middle aged, that are going to go to the park. They're the people that have nothing to worry about. They're the people that even if there is an outbreak, it's not going to affect them. It's not going to overwhelm the healthcare system. Most people probably won't even know they have it or will have very mild symptoms. So the idea that that's a public health issue or people should be up in arms about is stupid. Like I keep pointing out, but again, people just don't seem to get it, and most of them not being people watching this, but members of the general public, everybody who wants to go back to their normal lives should be able to do it. Anybody else who doesn't want to can stay at home. There's no interchangeability. And people, I can't stand these people that have this, oh, we have to do it all or nothing attitude. Like, why does that make any sense whatsoever? Even when we do reopen, there is still going to be a decent percent of the population that still thinks this is the doomsday virus, but it's not. And even if it is, stay home, go ahead, look like an idiot. I don't care. But the reason why I think this is becoming such a political issue and people are so up in arms is that people who are paranoid for no good reason are forcing other people to be paranoid for no good reason. And that's why there's such visceral hatred, is that if you want to sit at home and cower in fear, go right ahead, but don't force other people to do it, especially when there's no reason to do it in the first place. And like I say, they just keep moving the goalposts. I don't even know what it's at right now. And the other thing I was thinking about is that why isn't the government? I don't, as far as I'm aware of it, there's no provincial government that's came out and put it like this, and come out and said, okay, this is what we want things to look like for things to reopen. We need X number of cases. We need X number of testing. Whatever, whatever. Why have none of the provinces done that? Like, why haven't they done that? And I think it's for the simple reason that uh, if they told people what they want it to look like, people would be very mad. You know, in other words, the bar is set so high that for us to get there, it's pretty much impossible. Again, eventually they're going to get to the point to where it's like, hey, we can't keep going like this anymore. I mean, that point for anybody who's sane has long passed, but eventually it's going to get to the point to where, hey, there's nothing we're doing. Like nothing we're doing is making a difference. And the thing that really bothers me most, and that this is something that's really going to, going down the road, it's really going to bother me too, in that you have all these people who is mainly these leftists who whenever they're talking about their political ideology, it's, oh, we're based in science and the studies back us up and this and that, but yet they'll turn around and be talk about, oh, social distancing, even though there's no evidence that social distancing actually makes a difference. There's plenty of good arguments that it actually makes things worse. There's no evidence that it makes a significant positive impact. That again, it's one of those things that sounds good in theory, but it doesn't actually work in reality, and it has negative impacts because it again forces people to be inside. It doesn't. people don't come in contact with normal amounts of bacteria, which just weakens their immune system. So if they are infected, it just makes them that much more likely to die or have bad um, reaction to it. But again, those are just a couple things off the top of my head. There's a lot of other stuff, but that's the big problem with the whole social distancing. The other big thing to bring up too is the whole corporations thing. Is that the best argument that the general member of the population has for keeping things closed? I mean, it's two things. Number one, it's we're all going to die if we reopen, which is laughable, and the other one's laughable too, but not as many people know how to deal with it. Is that, oh, you just want to help the big corporations, even though, like I've explained before, but just to reiterate a little bit, is Walmart being hurt right now? Is Superstore being hurt right now? Is Amazon being hurt right now? No, none of the big corporations are suffering right now. What kind of businesses are being hurt right now? The small businesses. So for all the people claiming, oh, you just want to go back to work to help your big corporation. No, that you are helping the big corporations by keeping things locked down. So these are people I cannot stand. Now, I'm not someone who's big on corporations are terrible. I really don't care. I just think that they shouldn't be allowed to monopolize, at least use the power of the government to monopolize. Um, but these people are so stupid. Like, it's not even funny. That like it's just not even funny. No, I think the real reason is, number one, they're just so dumbed down. It's not even funny. They'll believe whatever they're told. And number two, small businesses are largely people who are not on the left. And for the simple reason that to run a small business, it's pretty hard to believe in socialism. It's pretty hard to believe in these SJW stupid, oh, you can just pay everybody, even if they're only producing $10 in value, you can pay them 15 or $20 an hour. It's a living wage. Like you can't believe in that kind of stuff if you actually run a business, because you actually know what goes into it. The left literally thinks that you can just pay people an arbitrary amount of money and it's all just going to work out, because they think that money can just basically they believe money grows on trees is one of the simplest ways of putting it. But anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to bring up for starters. So getting into some other stuff here. Now this is a poll. Now, and again, I know Twitter polls aren't overly reliable. But I just wanted to talk about it nonetheless because I think it's pretty obvious. And it says, do you trust the current federal government's handling of the virus? Can you also include your answer and province below in the comments? Please feel free to retweet. Now, 89.6, 90% say no, 8.8 say yes. Now, I don't understand how you can possibly say yes. Like, literally, how you can possibly say yes. Even if you agree with the current policies that are in place, they've literally flip-flopped on almost everything. Now we're at the point to where, ooh, you need to stay in your house, which has borders. You need to have these imaginary 6-foot border. We have fences set up in a lot of places, or at the very least, tape, so you can't go into parks. So again, borders all of a sudden do work, and 2 months ago they were telling us how much they didn't work. So again, which one is it? Now again, we know they do work, but because of their incompetence, we are in this mess. Again, I pointed out several times. Also, the mask thing, too. Again, 2 months ago, oh, masks don't work. I pointed out, yeah, they actually do kind of work. Now it's, oh, you can't go out in public unless you have a mask. And, like, it's just, can we have a decent middle ground, for God's sake? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Now, like I pointed out too, like what reason do people have to support the federal government when it comes to this kind of stuff? I really don't know. I really, really don't know what reason they have to support them. Now, again, a lot of them are probably just partisan liberals that, again, Justin Trudeau could literally handle it the worst way he possibly could, and they would still support it. Tam is literally, like I say, I would have done a better job than Tam, than Haydu, than any of these idiots. And I don't think that they're literally that incompetent. I just think that they value virtue signaling at all costs. They don't care if it gets people killed. And again, I really believe that, because if they didn't value virtue signaling over everything, and what's in it for them politically over everything, then they would have closed the borders, because anybody with half a brain knows that closing the borders would have prevented the outbreak, at least to some degree. So that, like I said, that's the one thing to point out. This is from basically talking about refugees. Now, this is a little bit unrelated, but it's something to bring up nonetheless, especially coming out of this. And it's refugees, in that refugees can get $1,890 a month plus $580 social aid. That's $2,470 monthly, probably equivalent to what, 18 bucks an hour, almost 20 maybe, probably 18 roughly. Um, $28,000, 920, sorry, $28,000, $920 in annual income. Now, why in the world are we giving refugees this much money? Like, they shouldn't get anything. Like I say, nothing. Again, not because, oh, you hate the poor. No, it's because we are running a $300-400 billion, sorry, $300-400 billion deficit this year. We don't have the money to be paying people to literally come to our country and do nothing. We're not that. We don't have the money. Like I always mention too, if you want to have this BS immigration and refugees and all this kind of stuff, the only way that you can plausibly have that policy and support it is if we're running a balanced budget, unemployment's very, very low, homelessness is largely a non-issue. Then if you want to help out some refugees, I would still disagree with it, but be my guest. I wouldn't be that up in arms. I wouldn't really care. But the fact that we have 30% unemployment, we're still paying people this much money? No, no. I don't care if the ones are already here. Stop paying them. Be like, yeah, you're gonna produce or you're gonna go home. And it's not that oh, you're racist, you hate. No, it's not that. It's that we can't afford it. It's simple math. Stop playing the race card. And I know it's not most of the people watching this, but that's the argument you constantly hear from the left. And like I say, the race card is largely a non-issue as well. Again, most people on the right, when they hear someone accused of being racist, they assume, yep, they're not racist. Like 99% of people accused of being racist nowadays, not racist. So if the left actually cares about racism, they wouldn't keep accusing people that aren't racist of being racist. But anyway, it's another topic in and of itself. So this is another issue I wanted to talk about a little bit. And that, James O'Keefe brought up shadow banning on when he was on Joe Rogan, and it's something that I always point out, but people still somehow seem to want to deny it, even though James O'Keefe literally has these people on video admitting it. And like I say, that's where we're at politically nowadays, that we literally have people admitting stuff on camera that they're biased, and yet I'll point it out, and sure enough, on social media somewhere or even in person, people say, "Oh no, they're not biased. You're a conspiracy theorist." Even though, like I say, they literally admitted it on video. They literally admitted on video. So it just frustrates me so much that things can be that right out in the open, and yet people still deny it. And again, that's just a good way of knowing that there's nothing you can literally possibly say to change people's mind. That if they literally say it right to your face, pretty much, and they still don't believe it. Like, come on. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is something that I have brought up before, but I wanted to talk about a little bit more. Now, this is from Paul Joseph Watson. He says, scientists have expressed doubts over the effectiveness of a virus vaccine that has been rushed to human trials after all the monkeys used in initial testing later contracted the virus. So this is what I brought up too, is that it's not going to be a fast process. We're what, 5, 6 months tops into this whole mess? Most of the time, it takes at least a year or two to develop a vaccine. This idea of waiting for a vaccine is not realistic. It's not realistic. And the other thing that Fauci pointed out too is that even if we do get a vaccine, there's no guarantee that it will be effective. So people who want to wait for this are absolutely insane, absolutely insane. And a lot of people said they're not going to take it anyway. A lot of people said they're not going to take it anyway. And I know provinces like Alberta have already said that they're not going to make it mandatory. So what is the point? Like, what is the point? It doesn't make any sense. So um, and we know, like I say, we do know that vaccines have been known to cause some damage. It is impossible to make a vaccine that is 100% safe and effective. It's not possible, as far as I'm aware. Now, if it can be 99.9% effective, yeah, but there's that 1 in 1,000 people that are going to react very, very negatively to it. So that's the problem with vaccines too, is that they're not 100% safe and effective. The other big problem with this is that there is a massive, massive profit motive for whatever company or country, whoever develops it, there is a massive profit motive because they could patent it. And there's a lot of people, like I say, Bill Gates, um, literally admitted on camera that he said, yeah, he stands to gain over $100 billion from this vaccine, that he has a lot of money invested in its development. And that's the problem, is that it's not an honest thing. If there's that much of, now again, I'm not against the whole profit motive. If you want to become a billionaire through um, doing, like, playing by the rules, not cheating. The problem is the whole Bill Gates thing. Is it's a classic snake oil salesman scenario, that it's not a legitimate way of making money, in that there's no reason to need a vaccine in the first place. There's no reason whatsoever. And the other problem is that he's someone who's big on forcing people to take it. So again, if your product's so good, then why do you have to force people to take it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So basically, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal and email. I got linked in the description. Again, appreciate any donations, but at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also check me out on Twitter if you haven't already, and check me out on BitChute if you haven't already. Again, all the links in the description, so you can find them all there.